Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be looking at the concept of the guru, and for this we'll be drawing on the teachings from the spiritual Sikh. We're going to be exploring some really fascinating ideas about, where wisdom comes from and how we can connect with guidance that's kind of like always available to us.
Yeah, and the text really uses Dattatreya's teachings as a framework for this. And Dattatreya, as you may know, had 24 gurus. And these gurus weren't just like wise humans, but they included elements of nature, animals, even the sun and the moon.
Okay, so right away, the spiritual Sikh is kind of challenging that typical idea we have of what a guru is, like that singular, all-knowing human figure.
Exactly. And what's really important here is that we get the principle. The principle is that wisdom can really come from the most unexpected places and sources. So if you are receptive, even the simplest things in your daily life can be like these incredible lessons.
Yeah, that really makes me think of the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Absolutely. And the spiritual Sikh kind of takes this a step further and suggests that the true guru ultimately is within each of us. And there's this story about Dattatreya teaching King Yadu, where he really emphasizes that it's God himself who manifests as the inner guru guiding our evolution.
So we're not just talking about some kind of vague, inner wisdom, but like a direct connection to the divine.
Yes, think of it as Prakshasha Devata, the visible manifestation of God. The guru in this sense is like a tangible representation of that divine guidance, helping you to connect with that inner divinity.
All right, so even though we might seek out external guidance, the true source of wisdom is already inside.
Exactly. And that leads us to a very reassuring thought. Even if you've, lost a teacher through death or distance, the connection actually persists. And the spiritual Sikh is very clear that the guru-disciple relationship transcends those limitations.
So it's like an ongoing connection that kind of evolves as you evolve.
Yeah, think of it like the concept of Nara and Narayana, that constant interplay between human aspiration and divine guidance. And you, as a listener, you're like Nara, striving for understanding. And the wisdom of the text, the wisdom that we're offering you today, acts as Narayan, guiding you on that journey. And this dynamic, it persists even throughout multiple lifetimes.
Wow, that's pretty profound, this back and forth between our seeking and the divine kind of meeting us where we are. And at the core of this journey, the text emphasizes is self-surrender.
And the spiritual Sikh really presents that self-surrender as the foundation of all the yogic paths.
So no matter what specific practices we're doing, it all kind of comes back to surrender.
Think of it like purifying gold in a crucible. That raw gold or filled with impurities being subjected to intense heat, and everything that's not essential, it just melts away, leaving behind that pure essence.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that relates to our own personal growth.
Yeah.
Those challenges that we face, it can definitely feel like that intense crucible refining us. Does the text give any specific examples of what this self-surrender looks like in practice?
Yeah, so one way that it really manifests is through accepting the guru's guidance, even when it challenges your preconceived notions. There's a story in the spiritual Sikh where Dattatreya learns from a spider how to remain detached from the fruits of his actions. And it's this reminder that true surrender, it involves letting go of that attachment to outcomes, allowing the divine to kind of work through us.
So it's about trusting the process even when it doesn't make sense to our limited understanding.
Exactly. And that brings us to this concept of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. The spiritual Sikh emphasizes its flexible and inclusive nature.
So it adapts to the individual, offering guidance that's appropriate to their specific level of development.
Think of it this way, no matter where you are on your spiritual journey, whether you're just starting out or even practicing for, years, Sanatana Dharma has something to offer. And the ancient seers who envisioned this path knew that we wouldn't always have hours for deep meditation. So they provided these various practices like vratas, observances, and rituals to make the spiritual path, more accessible.
So vratas are specific commitments that you make for a certain period, kind of like mini challenges that help you cultivate discipline and focus.
Yes, and they can be tailored to your individual needs and circumstances. The spiritual Sikh offers examples like setting aside a specific time each day for contemplation or dedicating certain actions to a higher purpose. It's about finding those ways to kind of integrate spirituality into your daily routine, making it a natural part of your life rather than just a separate activity.
Yeah, that's really helpful, especially for someone like me who's trying to balance a busy life with the desire to grow spiritually.
And it addresses this question that a lot of people have: how do I find a guru?
Yeah, it's a pretty natural question.
Yeah.
But the spiritual seek offers a kind of surprising answer. It says the guru actually seeks the disciple.
Think of the guru as a delta, where all these aspiring souls, they converge before flowing into that vast ocean of like divine consciousness. And the text emphasizes the importance of, sincere aspiration and genuine openness to guidance. It's about cultivating that inner yearning for truth and trusting that the right guidance will come when you're ready.
So it's about cultivating that receptivity, being open to recognizing the guidance when it appears, maybe even in some unexpected ways.
Exactly. As we continue kind of diving deep into the spiritual seek, I think we can shift our focus a little bit to like the practical application of these concepts.
You mean like how do we take these kind of big, profound ideas and actually integrate them into our lives?
Exactly. The spiritual seek doesn't just give us, this lofty philosophy. It actually provides guidance for like practical application through this idea of satana.
Satana, that's like the Sanskrit word for spiritual practice, right?
Exactly. And the spiritual seek reminds us that regardless of the specific path you choose, whether it's Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, or Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, or Karma Yoga, the path of action, the foundation of all of it is self-surrender.
Okay, so it all comes back to surrender.
Mhm.
But what does that look like? How does that actually manifest in our day-to-day lives?
The text actually uses an analogy that might resonate. Imagine, a skilled artisan refining gold in a crucible. You have that raw gold or, filled with impurities. It's subjected to this intense heat, and everything that isn't essential, it just melts away, leaving behind that pure gold.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying like our personal growth, the challenges that we face, they act as that crucible refining us.
Precisely. And the fire of tapas, the like heat of spiritual discipline, helps to burn away those impurities.
And tapas refers to like those practices, self-control, renunciation, focused effort, right?
Yes, and the spiritual seek emphasizes that this tapas, it should encompass all aspects of your being, body, mind, and spirit. It's a holistic approach to refinement.
So it's not just about sitting in meditation for, hours on end. It's about bringing that awareness, that discipline into like everything you do.
Exactly. And the text, it acknowledges that this can be challenging, especially for those of us who are navigating like the complexities of modern life. Finding time for spiritual practice when we have all these responsibilities can feel really daunting.
Oh, absolutely. So like how do we make it work?
The spiritual seek highlights the wisdom of like the ancient seers, who designed Sanatana Dharma to be adaptable, to be accessible. They understood that not everyone would have hours and hours for deep meditation or have these like secluded retreats. So they provided a range of practices, rituals, and observances that could be integrated into daily life.
So you're talking about like the vratas that we mentioned before, those intentional commitments that you make for a specific period.
Exactly. The spiritual seek specifically mentions vratas as an example of like these accessible practices. They're really designed to help you cultivate discipline, devotion, and purification, but without like disrupting your daily routine.
Can you give us some examples, like some specific examples of vratas that a modern listener could easily kind of incorporate into their life?
Certainly. One example would be setting aside like a specific time each day for some kind of contemplative practice. It could be as simple as 15 minutes in the morning, for meditation or journaling, just a time to connect with your inner self before, the day's activities start to take over.
Yeah, that feels very doable even for someone who has, a busy schedule.
Mhm.
What are some other examples?
Another vrata could be, dedicating certain actions to a higher purpose. So for instance, you could choose to do your work with mindfulness and intention, seeing it as an offering to the divine. Or you could engage in acts of selfless service, maybe dedicating a few hours each week to helping others in need.
So it's about finding ways to infuse your daily activities with like a spiritual awareness, making spirituality a natural part of your life, not just some like separate compartment.
Exactly. And the spiritual seek emphasizes that these vratas, they're not meant to be burdensome. They're really there to support your growth and help you to connect with the divine in a more tangible way.
That's really helpful. It makes this whole concept of spiritual practice feel much more accessible. It feels more sustainable.
And it addresses like a very common concern that a lot of people have. They think that they have to renounce the world to pursue spiritual growth.
Right, like you have to become a monk or go live in a cave or something to really connect with the divine.
And the spiritual seek really challenges that. It emphasizes that true renunciation is about inner detachment. It's not necessarily about our outward circumstances. You can be engaged in the world, you can be fulfilling your responsibilities, and still cultivating inner peace and spiritual awareness.
So it's more about shifting your mindset, your attitude towards the world, rather than, drastically changing your external situation.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the world itself isn't the obstacle, but rather our attachment to it, our identification with, our desires, our ego.
So it's not about rejecting the world, it's about transforming our relationship to it.
Precisely. And the spiritual seek offers practical guidance on how to achieve this transformation. And one of the ways is through understanding the true nature of your desires.
Okay, let's talk about that. What does it mean to understand the true nature of our desires?
The text encourages us to kind of examine our motivations, to become aware of like the underlying forces that are shaping our choices. Why do you want the things that you want? Are they driven by a genuine need or by like a sense of lack? A belief that you're incomplete without them.
I think most of us can probably relate to that. We get caught in this cycle of wanting more, thinking that happiness is, just around the corner if we can just acquire that next thing, achieve that next goal.
And the spiritual seek reminds us that this cycle is ultimately futile. True fulfillment, it doesn't come from external gratification. It comes from connecting with that divine spark that already resides within you. It's about shifting your focus from seeking happiness in the world to discovering the joy that already exists inside.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It's easier said than done, though. How do we actually break free from that, that cycle of wanting, that constant striving for more?
Well, the text offers, practical tools for cultivating this inner contentment. And gratitude practices are a great place to start. Taking time each day to appreciate the good in your life, to acknowledge the blessings that you already have, it can really shift your perspective from lack to abundance.
So it's about focusing on what you have rather than like what you're missing.
Exactly. And the shift in focus, it can be so powerful. It allows you to experience a deeper sense of peace and contentment, regardless of your like external circumstances.
What are some other tools for cultivating this inner contentment?
Well, meditation is another powerful practice. Taking time to quiet your mind, to connect with that stillness within, can help you to detach from that constant stream of desires and to experience a deeper sense of peace.
What about selfless service? You mentioned that earlier as a form of rada. How does that contribute to inner contentment?
Well, when you shift your focus from, your own needs to the needs of others, when you engage in actions that benefit other people, it creates a sense of purpose and fulfillment that transcends the limitations of your ego.
So it's about connecting with something larger than yourself,
Yeah.
finding meaning and purpose and contributing to the well-being of others.
Exactly. And this shifting perspective, this movement from self-centeredness to selflessness is a really key aspect of spiritual growth.
This is all starting to paint a clearer picture of what the spiritual seek means by sadhana, by spiritual practice. It's not just about, isolated rituals or esoteric techniques. It's really about a way of life, a conscious effort to bring spiritual awareness into every aspect of your being.
Exactly. It's about cultivating, a mindset of gratitude, practicing mindfulness in your daily activities, engaging in acts of selfless service, and dedicating time for, contemplative practices that connect you with your inner self.
And remembering that you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
You have the guidance and the support of the guru, both within and without, to help you kind of navigate the challenges and realize, the fullness of your spiritual potential.
Exactly. And the spiritual seek offers a wealth of wisdom and practical guidance to support you on this journey.
Well, this has been really enlightening. We've explored the concept of the guru from so many angles, from the importance of self-surrender to the practical application of sadhana in daily life. I'm sure our listeners are starting to see how these teachings can be applied to their own lives, their own spiritual journey.
Absolutely. And we encourage you to continue exploring these ideas, experiment with these practices, discover what resonates with you.
Yeah, as we kind of delve deeper into the spiritual seek, I'm really interested in the text perspective on the guru-disciple relationship. It seems to offer like a very unique perspective on this whole dynamic.
Yeah, the spiritual Sikh really moves beyond that like traditional image that we have of a guru,
Yeah.
as this distant authority figure. It really emphasizes the importance of a more personal, heart-centered connection.
Okay, so it's not just about receiving, knowledge or instructions. It's about like a deeper level of interaction.
Yeah. Exactly. The text encourages, disciples to approach the guru with an attitude of devotion, of reverence, recognizing their role as a conduit for divine grace.
But it also encourages like questioning and open communication.
Yeah.
So how do we like balance that reverence with the need to kind of engage critically with the teachings?
It's a good point. The text highlights that true devotion, it's not blind faith. It's about recognizing the guru's wisdom and experience while also like maintaining your own discernment, your ability to evaluate the teachings and determine what really resonates with your own heart.
So it's about cultivating, a discerning trust, a faith that's earned through direct experience, not just blind obedience.
Exactly. The spiritual Sikh encourages disciples to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, to engage in open and honest dialogue with the guru.
That makes the relationship feel like much more collaborative,
Yeah.
more like a partnership.
Yes, and the text emphasizes that this partnership, it's based on mutual respect and a shared commitment to that path of awakening. The guru offers guidance and support, and the disciple responds with devotion, gratitude, and a willingness to serve.
So it's like this reciprocal exchange, a dynamic interplay between two souls who are both on a journey of growth and evolution.
Exactly. And the spiritual Sikh reminds us that this relationship it's a precious gift. It's a sacred bond that can really accelerate our spiritual progress and guide us towards the realization of our true nature.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. It reminds me of something we were discussing earlier about, the guru not being there to create kind of dependence, but to actually empower the disciple to become, self-realized.
Absolutely. The ultimate goal of the guru-disciple relationship, according to the spiritual Sikh, it's not to create followers. It's to awaken individuals to their own inner wisdom and guidance.
So the guru is like, a guide, a mentor who eventually helps the disciple to become their own teacher.
Precisely. And the text offers, so many practical tools and techniques for cultivating this inner awakening. And one of the key practices that it really emphasizes is the practice of mona, or inner silence.
Right. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. It's about creating that space within where you can really like listen to those subtle whispers of the guru's guidance, both from the external guru and the guru within.
Exactly. And the text suggests that this inner silence, it's not just about passive listening, but also about, actively contemplating the teachings, allowing them to really penetrate your heart and transform your understanding.
So it's a dynamic process, a dance between like receiving and reflecting, integrating that wisdom into your life.
Precisely. And the spiritual Sikh also highlights the importance of combining Mona with Radha, those intentional commitments that we make for a specific period to cultivate, discipline, focus, and purification.
Right. Those kind of mini challenges that help us to really integrate those spiritual practices into our daily lives.
Exactly. And the text offers, so many examples of vratas, from setting aside time each day for meditation to dedicating certain actions to a higher purpose. The key is to find practices that really resonate with you and that you can realistically incorporate into your daily routine.
So it's about finding ways to make spirituality like a natural part of your life, not just, a separate compartment.
Precisely. And the spiritual Sikh emphasizes that this integration is really key to navigating the challenges of, modern life while still pursuing that spiritual growth.
That reminds me of something else we were talking about earlier, that idea that you don't have to like renounce the world to pursue spiritual growth. That true renunciation is really an internal process, a detachment from our desires and egoic attachments.
Exactly. You can be engaged in the world, you can be fulfilling your responsibilities and still cultivating, that inner peace and spiritual awareness. It's about shifting your mindset, your attitude towards the world, rather than drastically changing your external situation.
It's about recognizing that the world itself isn't the obstacle, but rather our attachment to it.
Precisely. And the spiritual Sikh offers, guidance on how to transform that relationship,
Yeah.
how to move from that sense of lack and attachment to a state of, contentment and gratitude.
Right. We were talking about the importance of like gratitude practices,
Yeah.
focusing on the blessings that you already have rather than dwelling on what you're missing.
Yes. And the text also emphasizes the transformative power of selfless service, shifting your focus from your own needs to the needs of others.
So it's about finding fulfillment in contributing to something larger than yourself, making a positive difference in the world.
Exactly. And this shift in perspective, this movement from self-centeredness to selflessness, it's a key aspect of spiritual growth.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness,
Yeah.
with all beings, realizing that our own happiness is really inextricably linked to the well-being of others.
Exactly. And the spiritual seek, it really offers us a roadmap for cultivating this awareness, this understanding of our interconnectedness and this commitment to living a life of purpose and service.
This has been a truly illuminating deep dive into the spiritual seek. We've explored the concept of the guru, the spiritual path, and the transformative power of Sanatana Dharma in such depth.
Yeah.
And I really believe that our listeners have gained a much richer understanding of these concepts and how they can be applied to their own lives.
Absolutely. And we encourage you to continue to delve into the wisdom of the spiritual seek and to discover the profound truths that resonate with your heart. The path of spiritual growth, it's a lifelong journey. It's a continuous process of self-discovery, and the teachings of this text, they can serve as a valuable guide along the way.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. We
Yeah.
hope that this deep dive has inspired you to continue your own journey of awakening
Yeah.
and to connect with that divine wisdom that resides within you